Hello there once again and welcome to The Verdict. Mick Cornett, usually here with Kent Myers, but Kent is on assignment and will not be with us today. Nonetheless, he's going to miss a great show because we have on with us today Sandy Coates and Ashley Altshuler. We're going to get an update on the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Western District of Oklahoma. It's all coming up today on another edition of The Verdict. Stay with us.
The idea of sending American money out of our own economy these days for foreign oil is madness. Yet we're spending $25 billion a month on foreign oil. America's 100-year supply of natural gas can break this pattern and strengthen our economy. See how it can create jobs, generate clean electricity, fuel our cars, and protect our environment at chk.com. Chesapeake, America's champion of natural gas.
Natural gas is the gateway to a better world of energy. Instead of waiting, natural gas moves us forward now. Instead of finding ways to make dirty energy cleaner, natural gas simply is cleaner. We can use it to create our own energy, a wealth of new jobs, and keep more money here at home. Learn more at chk.com. Chesapeake, America's champion of natural gas.
Wilsey, Meyer, Eatman, Tate. We're accountants. We do taxes, business valuations, estate planning, and consulting. And we're right here in Oklahoma, working with the owners of small and medium-sized businesses. Steve Wilsey and Stuart Meyer have the resources and the experience. Wilsey, Meyer, Eatman, Tate in Oklahoma City and Tulsa.
Welcome back to the set of The Verdict. Mick Cornett without Kent Myers this week. Kent will be back soon. We're going to have a show today, though, learning more about the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Western District of the state of Oklahoma. And our guest is Sandy Coates and also Ashley Altshuler. And we'll introduce Sandy first. Sandy, welcome to the show. This is your third visit back.
It is. Thanks for having me back.
Sandy is got his undergrad at the University of Tulane, went to law school at the University of Oklahoma, then entered private practice in Oklahoma City. He's been with the U.S. Attorney's Office since 2004, and then in 2009 was named the U.S. Attorney for the Western District of Oklahoma. Great to have you back.
Thank you.
Ashley Altshuler got his undergraduate degree at Oklahoma, but then got his law degree at the OCU College of Law. He was in private practice with a couple of law firms from 2004 to 2007, and he's been with the Oklahoma County District Attorney's Office for 8 years before joining the U.S. Attorney's Office in 2011. Welcome in.
Thank you.
This is great to have you both on the show.
Thanks.
You've been in office, I guess, what, 2+ years now?
Just over 2 years.
How's it going?
Well, it's been a tremendous couple of years. It's such an honor to serve in this capacity, to serve the people of Western Oklahoma. Our district is the 40 counties of Western Oklahoma. If you draw a line from Shawnee to Stillwater, basically everything west to the Panhandle is our district, and we've got a tremendous office. It's an honor to lead it.
You joined the office in 2004. In the last couple of years, how have you seen the office evolve, and what new direction have you tried to instill?
Well, a couple of things. We have had great leadership for the entire time that I've been in the office. We focus on general federal crimes. That really hasn't changed. Our people are working tremendously hard. We set a record in 2011 for the number of defendants prosecuted criminally. We had over 350 defendants prosecuted, and our civil division, which is 8 lawyers, handled over 900 civil cases in that year. So we're setting records as in for productivity, and just working tremendously hard.
For those in the audience that might not be able to distinguish federal crime from a state crime, what types of crimes does your office investigate?
Well, that's an important distinction. We don't obviously do what a district attorney's office does necessarily. Each district attorney's office is, for example, the Oklahoma County District Attorney's Office will handle over 4,000 criminal cases in a year. So it's a different animal, but we handle major drug crimes. We handle economic crime, identity theft, public corruption type investigations on the criminal side, and then a lot of our violent crime projects have to do with felons in possession of firearms, which is why Ashley's here, and one of the things we want to talk about today.
Perfect segue into Ashley. Ashley, as Sandy said, your role has been fairly specific in the attorney's office.
Yeah, I'm assigned to the violent crimes team. Most of the cases I deal with are firearm offenses under the federal firearm laws, drug offenses, bank robberies, prison assault cases, assaults that occur in the prison setting. But what keeps me mainly busy within the office are the firearm offenses.
Now, explain the firearm laws as it applies to someone who gets out of prison.
Well,
who can have a gun, who can't?
Okay, felons under the classification under federal firearm laws, we have what are called prohibited persons. First and foremost, felons, unless they have been, their record has been pardoned, expunged, or otherwise had their civil rights restored, they are for their life prohibited from possessing a firearm. There are other categories of prohibited persons, such as individuals that have been previously convicted of a misdemeanor offense involving domestic violence, presently have a victim's protective order that are hanging over their head. Individuals have been dishonorably discharged from the military, habitual drug users. But again, what we see very often are felons in possession of firearms.
Are there gray areas here? And obviously you couldn't get a license to own a firearm. What if there's a firearm in the house that belonged to someone else?
It's all about what we call dominion and control, either actually possessing the firearm or having a firearm in their constructive possession. Certainly if a convicted felon is in a home and they have access where they can have physical control of that weapon, that is prohibited under those circumstances as well.
How are we doing about keeping firearms out of the hands of convicted felons? Is this something you see a lot of?
Yes, and there's different things we do within our office, which Sandy will visit in a bit, talking about our Project Safe Neighborhoods program. Has various components, but we have very, very aggressive enforcement. The federal laws can be extremely serious, differing from the state system. For instance, when we indict an individual, when that case is indicted, if they are convicted, they will go to prison. For a ordinary case involving a felon in possession of a firearm, the range of punishment is up to 10 years, a fine of up to $250,000, a period of supervised release of up to 3 years following the conviction, if they are what is known as an armed career criminal. These are felons who have 3 or more previous convictions of felony crimes involving either a crime of violence or a serious drug offense. That will enhance their punishment if they are convicted for possessing a firearm of a minimum of a mandatory of 15 years up to life imprisonment. So a very, very serious charge.
If a convicted felon is caught with a firearm, what's the first step that's going to happen? What can that person expect?
From our office, we can move. That's another luxury of the federal system. We can move quite quickly. We can charge them initially by complaint. A warrant for their arrest will be issued very quickly. Marshals will go out, they will arrest them, bring them to court, and they will appear in front of the United States magistrate. Then they will also, different from state court, typically, especially cases involving firearms and drugs, they will be detained without bond. Once a complaint is done, if we do it that way, we can seek an indictment within 30 days, and we will indict the case, put on evidence before a federal grand jury to seek an indictment.
That is pretty swift. Project Safe Neighborhood, what is that, Sandy?
Well, Project Safe Neighborhood is the Department of Justice's anti-violent crime strategy and program. It's gone through different versions over the last 15 or 20 years. It was dubbed Project Safe Neighborhood in the Bush administration. It's continued into the Obama administration, and something back about 18 months ago, the Attorney General Holder gave a speech, and he outlined his vision for what Project Safe Neighborhood should be in this administration. And it's really threefold. It's enforcement, prevention, and reentry. Enforcement is what we do, what law enforcement does. You know, it's kind of what we're good at, and that's, as you said, identifying those that, in this case, may be a felon, an armed career criminal that is in possession of a firearm, prosecuting that case to the extent of the law. Prevention, something that we need a lot of help with. We're still developing here with our Project Safe Neighborhood committee and group, and that's we focused on trying to get into the schools and teach the young people really what gang life, what violent crime life really is. It's not what they see on the movies. In the movies, it's not what they see in rap videos or any videos. It's not glamorous, and try to prevent those that may be headed toward gang life or violent crime, trying to prevent that from happening. And then the third prong is reentry, and that's something this administration is trying to take dramatic steps, and that is those that have served their time, that have been to prison, that are coming out. What do they do? Giving them some opportunities so they don't commit further crimes, and also to educate them that they are prohibited persons now, that they can't possess a firearm or even ammunition is a federal crime for them to possess. So they know they can make an educated decision, and if they get themselves in a situation, have the knowledge and the skills to prevent it and become productive members of society.
We have some videotapes that are, I guess, public service announcements. We're going to show those. Why don't we first take a break, and then we'll come back and we'll learn more about Project Safe Neighborhoods and exactly what these PSAs are intended to do. We're visiting on the with the U.S. Attorney for the Western District of Oklahoma, Sandy Coates, and his able-bodied assistant, Ashley Altshuler. We'll be right back on The Verdict.
The thing that has made the most sense for me is realizing that I am still an educator, and that is what I do at the Chickasaw Nation. I'm Dr. Amanda Cobb-Greetham. I'm a historian, and I'm Chickasaw. The Chickasaw Cultural Center is amazing. It is a very, very special place devoted to the sharing and to the celebration of Chickasaw history and culture. State-of-the-art technology, exhibits that are not like anything I've ever seen. The Spirit Forest is incredible, and you feel as if you have actually just walked into a forest with huge trees all around you. It's timeless, and yet it's sort of also representative of our time depth, to really just sort of reach through time and touch the past. By the end of the exhibits, you really have a sense of Chickasaw cultural and political resurgence, and the extent to which we are a healthy, dynamic, and vital tribe today. Chickasaws have always been an inclusive people. This is something for the whole community and for the state of Oklahoma.
I don't want to hope for the best. I want to become it.
I want you to see my potential.
Because I can be more than average. I can be amazing.
Because I know the hard way
and the right way
are one and the same.
I will make you proud.
And surpass even my own expectations.
I will lead.
I will lead.
I will lead America's energy future.
Oklahoma's oil and natural gas industry. Proud to equip Oklahoma students for greatness.
When you have something important to communicate, it becomes clear that there's a lot of competition for your audience's attention. So how can your message stand out and actually resonate with your audience? Legal Graphics has the answers. The team at Legal Graphics will work with you to plan, design, and even test your presentation to ensure your message will be heard and remembered. Call Legal Graphics today to schedule an appointment. The readiness is all.
Welcome back to the set of The Verdict. Mick Cornett visiting with Sandy Coates and Ashley Altshuler, and we're discussing a program called Project Safe Neighborhoods. And Sandy, why don't you set this up before we show these public service announcements?
Sure, and as we talked about before the break, one of the three prongs of the PSN, or Project Safe Neighborhood, excuse me, program is reentry, and we decided we'd start what we call the probation parole reentry program, and it's been about a year since we started that. That's our attempt at reentry. These videos are public service announcements, educating the public on federal firearms laws. It's targeted toward felons, and it's something we show during these programs.
So the intended audience is the felon themselves, or is it the community at large to know?
Really both. It's the felon themselves, it's the family members of the felons, and the community at large if they know somebody that may be a prohibited person, to help them stay away from firearms and stay out of trouble.
Okay, we got a couple of 30-second public service announcements. We're going to show them back to back when you're watching The Verdict. These are strong messages, but basically the message to the convicted felon is if you really think it's a good idea for you to be carrying a gun, you're going to be going back to prison.
That's correct. That's correct. And what we did is the Northern District of Texas, Dallas and Fort Worth, has had a similar program for reentry for many years, 8 to 10 years, and they saw a dramatic lowering of drive-by shootings, for example. And we went down and saw it. We thought it was a great idea, and it's something we decided we need to implement in our district.
Yeah. Ashley, what type of success are you seeing?
Well, success we modeled after, we've had this program up and running for just a year now. And Northern District of Texas, they had a 55% reduction of parolees reoffending and possessing firearms based on their program. And we certainly hope to achieve comparable results here in Oklahoma County. And the message we try to provide to these felons and also parolees, because they're actually required to attend this program, is simply to remind them that they are felons. They cannot possess firearms of any kind. These include rifles, shotguns. There typically is some misunderstanding with them on what the law is. And also a common theme and core of our program is to remind them of the consequences. Many of these individuals are parolees, for instance, that may have just gotten out of prison days earlier. Also felon probationers that have not yet been to prison, don't know what that is like and the impact that has on their family. It is a common theme. We see sentences in federal court as high as 27 years, 20 years simply for possessing a firearm, and that also includes ammunition under the law. And it has very grave, just terrible circumstances on their families.
It would seem a lot of what we're trying to prevent is gang-on-gang violence. Would you agree with that?
Certainly. We are seeing more than ever before, especially, I came from the Oklahoma County District Attorney's Office. Most of the homicides cases I dealt with, I was assigned to the gang unit, are very young, really children that are running around out there nowadays with firearms. Gang members, it's just the protocol anymore. They all have firearms. Even federal cases that we're seeing are firearms out there in the community, in cars. Felons walking the streets with firearms, and certainly gangs, as we're a growing population here in Oklahoma County, we do have some gang issues that we're dealing with.
Sandy, what can the general public do?
Well, a couple of things, and the message at these meetings is positive, and it's an education, but it's also we want you to succeed, and we want you to, as I said earlier, become a productive member of society, and we have had tremendous cooperation with state and local. The DA's office sends a representative, the Oklahoma County Sheriff, the Oklahoma City Police Department, Midwest City, Edmond, our federal partners come, DEA, FBI, ATF. So it's a broad range, and it shows them that we're all in this together. It doesn't matter whether it's a state officer, a federal officer, a county officer. We're all working together on this. What we need is more opportunities for these individuals. They're coming out of prison. They need education. They need jobs. And so if you're a business owner out there that may have a place for someone coming out of prison to go to work, we need you to step up and hire them.
So they need options, is
That's
what you're
correct.
saying. If they feel like their only option is to go back into the life they had beforehand, that's probably where they're going to gravitate. It's certainly who they know.
That's right, and that's one of the messages we say, is if you go right back into that same group that you got you in trouble before, what do you think the result's going to be? It's going to be exactly the same. get with your family, get a job, get an education, and make yourself a better life.
Is there much education going on inside the prison system? Are these people coming out in any sense a more highly educated person when they emerge?
There is some. I can talk for the federal system a lot more than I can the state, but there are opportunities to get a GED, to get college credit, even to get a college degree.
What's your perception of how many are doing that?
I think there are quite a few that are taking advantage of that. I don't know any numbers, but we want to encourage that, of course. A lot of our judges talk to those to people at sentencing and say, you know, now you have X number of years, go do something with it, learn a trade, get some education, so you can, when you come out, have some semblance of success.
Ashley, your background with the Oklahoma County District Attorney's Office, how much do you all correspond and interact with the Oklahoma County and the other county district attorneys?
We have developed a very, very strong network of communication between both offices. I actually started at the U.S. Attorney's Office. I was employed as an Oklahoma County District Attorney and especially assigned as a special prosecutor for a couple of years. And part of my job was to have a dialogue with my fellow prosecutors at the time, and that dialogue has continued now as an Assistant United States Attorney. They have me, so to speak, on speed dial. If they have an individual they're dealing with, a gang member, for instance, that might meet the prerequisites for an armed career criminal enhancement, and they feel that federal prosecution is appropriate, they simply get me on the phone and call me, and then we move forward. So we really, it's all, as Sandy mentioned, a collaborative effort. We can't do this alone. We have great cooperation through Project Safe Neighborhoods, for instance, with federal law enforcement, state, local law enforcement, what's Midwest City, Edmond Police Department working with us. And it's all about targeting the most appropriate individuals for prosecution, because some of the individuals, of course, we target in the federal scheme are the individuals with very significant criminal histories, crimes of violence that don't need to be running around the streets with firearms.
You have served in the U.S. Attorney's Office under the Bush administration, now the Obama administration. What changes can you see? What new directions came in with the Obama administration?
Well, one of the things that's really affects Oklahoma a lot is with Indian country. There's a renewed interest and emphasis on Indian country. And obviously we have over 20 tribes in western Oklahoma, over 40 now casinos in western Oklahoma, Indian casinos. So there's been a much more emphasis on Indian country, violent crime in Indian country, public safety in Indian country, and the other is civil rights. The Obama administration and Justice under Attorney General Holder has made really expanded civil rights investigations and prosecution. So I think those are probably the two main areas I would identify as changed.
Are you seeing any trends that maybe were low on the radar screen in 2004 and much higher today in 2012?
Yes, identity theft is a significant problem. It's continued. It's just gotten worse and worse, and the criminals unfortunately become more creative, and they are remarkably successful in gaining people's identity.
Are we generally talking about credit cards, or what happens in an identity theft situation?
Well, credit cards, Social Security numbers, dates of birth, bank accounts. They can capture someone's identity and spend and get monetary gain before the person even knows it.
And these are IT experts, would you say? Or is this blue collar, white collar? What kind of crime would you rephrase that?
We call it economic crime. It's because it's people's pocketbook that they're targeting. It's not a violent crime. It's across the board as who's doing it. There's lots of drug-related addiction involved with it. Unfortunately, people that are seeking money desperately to buy drugs. So we've seen that rise dramatically over the last few years.
I really appreciate you guys coming on The Verdict today. We've run out of time, but the time went very, very quickly. Ashley, congratulations on your career and the work. And Sandy, we really appreciate you coming back, and can't wait to have you back on a future visit.
Thank you.
We'll be back to wrap up this show, and when we get back, you're watching The Verdict.
The good life comes naturally to Tulsa, where nature's beauty is matched with an eye for aesthetics. A legacy of neighborhoods graced with lawns and landscaping and handsome homes. A place that seems to have patented an ideal lifestyle. Bank First is loyal to the quality of life Tulsa assures its citizens. to the priority placed on education, culture, and growth. Loyal to builders who transform raw land into residential charm. Developers who see opportunity and add vitality to Tulsa's economy. Bank First serves both enterprise and private lives that need a loyal partner. It's how we help nurture this city's very good life. Bank First. Loyal to Oklahoma. Loyal to you.
In Oklahoma, we enjoy a high quality of life due to good, well-paying jobs. Commercial real estate professionals play a significant role in bringing new businesses and investment to Oklahoma. The commercial real estate community has come together to market Oklahoma's commercial properties nationwide through a free public website, okcommercialproperty.com. We are invested in keeping Oklahoma strong and growing because economic development ensures quality of life.
You will always be mom and dad to me.
You have children coming from a different lifestyle, different mindset. You have to open your arms and really do what you have to do to have that child become a part of your family. And if it's more patience, that's what you do. Kids gotta know they can trust you. And that's what we try to do with these kids.
You will always be mom and dad to me.
The Journal-Record is pleased to be a sponsor of The Verdict. The Journal-Record, since 1903, the best source of Oklahoma business news and legal information. And for almost 30 years, Oklahoma political, government, and business leaders have turned to the McCarville Report for accurate, reliable, inside information. Visit the McCarville Report online.
Welcome back to the set of The Verdict, wrapping up a show with the U.S. Attorney for the Western District of Oklahoma, Sandy Coates, and Ashley Altshuler. Really a great program that they're working on, and they were giving me some numbers after they left. 1,200 parolees, convicted felons have been going through this program, trying to learn more about how they can not break the law again and wind up back in the penal system. It's over 100 a month they're going through this program, so I really appreciate their work. A couple of websites to draw your attention to. First of all, their website is justice.gov. That's justice.gov. And our website, of course, theverdict.tv. Tell us about a show or a guest you'd like to see on an upcoming edition. I'll see you next week right here on The Verdict.
The preceding program was produced exclusively for the Cox Channel.